So this is the map room. It's located on the mission Silent Cartographer in Halo Combat Evolved. And for many Halo fans, it has been a lifelong dream to get to the bottom of this giant pit. But is it even possible? Let's give it a shot! Recently, I have received an influx of comments challenging me to play Silent Cartographer to get to the bottom of this area. Now, I don't know if I can help Dino Nader full with this challenge, and I'm like a year late, but if you're unfamiliar with Halo Combat Evolved and the Silent Cartographer, once you go into this gray structure right here and go down a couple of hallways, eventually you will encounter a gold elite that is located in what is called the map room. Now, just below this map room is a giant chasm, shaft, whatever you want to call it, that is purely aesthetic. It serves no purpose in the actual game. But it's also one of the most beautiful and scenic locations in all of Halo. Now, it's a pretty sheer drop to get to the bottom. There are these little rungs in the middle, but they're too far away for you to be able to get to without dying to fall timer. So, how are we going to do this? Well, first, we'd need a Warthog. Oh yeah, I have to go to this stupid room, I forgot. So for our first step, we need to get our Warthog into the map room. But to do that, we first have to go to the security room and activate a switch. This switch opens the door that the Golden Elite is supposed to be hidden behind. Now, this door opens up earlier in the mission, and you can use a Warthog to get past it, but you can only use the Warthog to get past it with your body. You can't actually get the Warthog into the map room without first activating the security room switch. But after doing this, it's now time to backtrack and go get a Warthog. Luckily, there is an abundance of Warthogs on this mission, but after you get this Warthog, you then need to drive it through all the hallways carefully until you get to the room where the door is.
Wait, hold up.
Now, I first just tried ramming this Warthog into the doorway as fast as I could, and it didn't work.
We tried to do this back in the day, too.
You gotta beat it through this? I forget. Now, I knew it was possible to get this Warthog through this doorway into the map room section, but I couldn't remember how. I remember seeing two videos, one from Ducain and one from Spasmodic Gaming, who I'm going to mention a little bit more later, but I couldn't find any videos of anybody specifically ramming this Warthog into this doorway. I tried using the Halo 3 method of just pounding the Warthog with your fists until it fits through. I have to go really fast, but this didn't translate. So really, my only idea was to jet as fast as it possibly could from one end of the hallway into the doorway. That's it. That's the trick. This worked, and we were able to trigger the cutscene for this area, which gives you an automatic checkpoint. Luckily, in Halo Combat Evolved, it is checkpoints galore. Basically, every time you clear out an area of enemies, you will get a checkpoint. I need a weapon.
I need a weapon. That's actually close. I need a weapon.
So in what is a rare occurrence on this channel, the setup to get this Warthog in the map room was relatively easy and stress-free. Because we had a checkpoint right out of the cutscene, this enabled me to get in my Warthog almost immediately. But now, how are we going to use the Warthog to get to the bottom of the map? Well, luckily, there is a method. I've linked a video to Spasmodic Gaming's channel, but specifically, I've also linked a video in the description of his tutorial on how exactly to get this Warthog down the first step of this canyon. Now, the trick of this is, you need to drive your Warthog off the cliff, and then you need to land on a cubby just to the left below you.
Seriously, what was everyone? I guess I just wanted it to be dark.
Oh!
Wait a second. All right, go. Wow. Now, let me just start this off.
Oh my, this is going to be way harder than I thought. I need to land in that cubby over there. So there are two main considerations when trying to get this Warthog onto this lower ledge. One, in anniversary graphics, although they might be brighter and it's easier to see, this cubby doesn't exist. So I would have to do this on the original graphics, which are pretty dark. The second consideration here is that I somehow have to land on this lower ledge, even though it's in a weird slotted position. There are two ledges that protrude out from the upper wall, so I would need to be really precise for this. Actually, can you go the other direction and try to get me a checkpoint? So I knew this might be one of those tricks that was going to take me a while, and I didn't want to have to walk from the edge of the bridge to my Warthog, back it down the hallway, and then accelerate forward every single time. So I instructed my brother to quickly get a checkpoint as I was parked at the end of the hallway. I knew I would need at least speed for this, because I need to at least make it to the ledge.
I mean, oh my goodness, great, they killed me. That hunter just yeeted me. Waiting to respawn. Too many enemies nearby.
So my brother couldn't successfully get a checkpoint and died. Because I was in such a tight space with the Warthog, he couldn't spawn in until I got out of the Warthog.
I'm back, baby.
So I walked over to the bridge, he spawned back in, and as I was walking to my Warthog, of course I got a checkpoint. Oh, of course. But I figured, good enough. Now, it's time to hit it. Oh, I might... Oh. Oh. Oh!
Did you die?
This checkpoint is, Oh.
Oh.
Terrible. Oh, big shout out to Slinky. My man Slinky, also known as Spasmodic Gaming. He helped me tremendously with the setup for this trick before I even started it. Get too far. Another tail whip journey where people are gonna make fun of me. Slinky wasn't kidding though. This ain't exactly easy.
Ain't easy being Slinky.
Ooh! So much harder than I thought it was gonna be.
Yeah, I'm used to it at this point.
Oh! Okay, I made it down the first part.
My doubt is the key to success.
I need you to give me a checkpoint.
Can I do it? I got yeeted by a hunter on easy difficulty. I don't know. This might be very difficult for me.
Please don't die.
No promises. No promises, little boy.
Even though we were finally down to this cubby, we were still really only on step 1 of this trick. We still had a long way to go to get all the way to the bottom. And for this reason, it was essential that my brother got a checkpoint but didn't die. If he died, I'd have to get in this cubby again.
Stop trying to hit me. No! Dude. These things should not hit this hard. I'm gonna have to kill 2 hunters. This is ridiculous. I'm out of grenades.
Well, shoot them.
I have an AR, dude. Oh no! Dude, they're chasing me down, dude.
Easy
this is pretty
difficulty,
bad.
guys.
Actually kind of scared. A little scared, dude. Not gonna lie. A little scared. Killed me.
It took my brother about 3 minutes to get a checkpoint, but finally we were on to our next step. Now with this Warthog, I needed to drive forward onto one of the lower rungs of this rib-like structure. If I hit it just right, I could survive the fall and land on one of those ribs. I managed to do this first part pretty quickly, but then for whatever reason, I decided it was a good idea to get in the Warthog that was falling off the edge actively. I really thought that was going to hit the lower part. Can't even see an anniversary graphics. Ooh, almost restarted the mission. Watch, look at this. This is anniversary. So although the anniversary graphics for Halo Combat Evolved are a lot brighter, once you hit a certain point on the wall opposite of the platform, all you can see is this dark grayness. So for this, I would once again have to use the original graphics, but the further we go down into this chasm, the darker it gets. So needing to aim for the left. Oh. Oh! Oh. I initially thought that this was going to be a piece of cake, especially with Spasmodic Gaming guiding me through all of this before I even started the trick. This turned out to not be the case, and I was finding that every step was harder than the last. I was almost getting to the point where I was saying, maybe I'll just try this another time. But I decided to persevere, and not long after, this happened. Okay, I'm to the next level.
You've done it.
Go back and see if you can get me a checkpoint.
Oh gosh. Oh golly, this is a lot of pressure. I don't know if I can do this. Gee willikers.
Now I was finally to the rung, and naturally I needed another checkpoint. But one thing to be aware of, in this section of the mission, there are a limited number of checkpoints. So in total, I think I'd only have 3 to 4.
Now, did the ADA not exist for the Forerunners? Because there's no rails on this ramp.
Nice. Now that my brother got a checkpoint, we only had a couple remaining. But now, with this one, it was time to get down to the next level manually. In Halo Combat Evolved, if you crouch just as you're hitting the ground, you can absorb a lot of fall damage. This allows you to survive falls, if done correctly, that you normally shouldn't be able to. I initially tried to land on this thin strip of these rungs, but I kept just sliding off. And then I realized, oh, maybe I should turn around because there's a platform right below me that I could probably land on. Where am I? Okay, I'm on to the next section. Let's see if I can make it down. How? So after getting used to crouch landing, to be honest, I have no experience with this because I rarely play Halo CE, I realized that even though I was getting to the next level, I was missing a step entirely. So in the tutorial that Spasmodic Gaming sent me personally, he gets the Warthog all the way to the bottom of the shaft. The reason for this is, you kind of have to use it to break your fall in order to get down the final section. So if you notice, my Warthog is in the middle of the bottom of this rib column structure, not at the bottom of the map. So this would mean that I would need to grenade the Warthog into one of the pits every single time before I even tried to descend to the lower 2 levels. So although I was able to get to this lower level from the rung pretty easily, I still had to descend down this wall. Now, before I did this each time, I had to wait for my shields to generate all the way back to full. I'd wait for my shields to recharge all the way. If I didn't have full shields, I stood little to no chance of being able to survive this. Damn it! Okay, so I need to throw a plasma grenade here. Launch that Warthog over here. Wait for my shields to regen. Oh, fuck. Damn it. Waiting for the shields to recharge.
Let's find that map. Let's find that map.
Okay, give me another checkpoint, please. Can.
I can try.
I wasn't sure how many checkpoints we had left, but I had a suspicion that this might be the final one. I wanted to save this, but I kept dying over and over to this small little ledge, and I was fed up with it. I still had to make it down to this lower level, and then to another lower level, and then to the bottom of the map. I initially thought that each step was going to get progressively easier, but it turned out to be opposite of the case. I tried lining up as close as I could to the edge of this ledge before my brother got a checkpoint, and I accidentally ended up falling, but I survived the fall, so this meant once he got this checkpoint, I would be one step ahead of where I thought I was going to be. But now I was so close. I just needed to make it down to this next ledge. After another couple minutes waiting for my brother to get a checkpoint, I just decided I was going to jump down. I didn't care.
There's enemies around here somewhere, but I cannot find them.
And I made it. It's okay, it's okay.
Oh.
We made it to the next section.
Oh, I don't do anything?
Checkpoint would be nice, but...
I'm going for it. Just hold up. Hold up. Don't do anything. I don't understand. Like, where's my checkpoint at? Where are these red dots coming from? Like, where are these things at?
They're at the lower level. I wonder if you're going to check... There it is.
Zim Wazzle.
There we go! We're to the bottom. Let's go! It's terrible, and the anniversary graphics terrible. So you thought that was the whole trick, huh? Not the case. My real objective the entire time was to somehow find a way to use this Warthog to launch all the way from the bottom back up to the top. And if I was skillful enough, there is a secret room hidden at the top of the rungs that's not really accessible by normal means. Now, Ducain was the first person to do this, and he did it solo, somehow. But then Spasmodic Gaming posted a video about 9 years ago updating this method. And in that video, he went around the entire map of the Silent Cartographer collecting plasma grenades. He then had a second player die in the same spot over and over, so he had about 30 plasma grenades just off this ledge. From this point, he then threw a live plasma grenade just far enough away from the stack to blow about half of the grenades off the ledge. Then, in one fell swoop, he got down to the bottom of the map without dying once. Couldn't be me. I'm choosing to do this part segmented, so I put on the Acrophobia skull so that I could easily get to the bottom of the map. Now, I still didn't know if this was going to be possible, but my brother and I spent an entire hour collecting plasma grenades and then flying to the bottom of the map and dropping them off by a Warthog. Now, to be quite frank, I have never Warthog launched in Halo CE, so I had exactly no clue what I was doing. Regardless, I had a set of about 15 to 20 plasma grenades set up right next to the side of this Warthog. I then stood in the driver's seat, which apparently is how you're supposed to do this. Then I instructed my brother to go get a checkpoint. However, before he was able to get this checkpoint, I realized that I didn't have a trigger plasma grenade. Now, you need to throw a plasma grenade at the other side of this Warthog to launch effectively, and I didn't have a single plasma in my inventory. So I jumped off of it and tried to carefully pick up one. Now, I only ended up picking up about 3, but before I stood on top of this Warthog for the launch, I had about 20 grenades in that pile. Before I even went to go pick up another one, more than half of the pile had disappeared. So despite spending more time setting up these plasma grenades than it took us to get to the bottom in the first place, I also had the realization that we had no more checkpoints. So this was my one attempt. Alright, I'll film the rest of this myself. It's gonna take for fucking ever. Once I gave up on this trick, I really did not think I was going to be able to pull this off pretty much ever. But then, our favorite recurring character of this episode, Spasmodic Gaming, sent me a personalized 13-minute long Grenade Pile 101 tutorial. He explained everything so eloquently that I knew exactly what to do and how to do it before I even got there. In this video, he also explained a huge challenge to doing these launches. Apparently, you can only have up to 16 grenades for a pile. This didn't exist before Season 7 of MCC. So in order to effectively create piles, you're gonna have a limited number of nades because after a certain point, they'll just start disappearing. Which makes sense because that's exactly what I experienced. Now, Spasmodic told me that the only solution for this was down patching to Season 7. Apparently, after Season 7 of the Master Chief Collection, it changed something so that these grenades started disappearing after a certain point. I don't know why. Thank you again, 343 Industries, aka Halo Studios, for all of your significant contributions to actively making the game worse. Now, Spasmodic also told me to avoid frag grenades at all costs. And I didn't really want to have to go around collecting a bunch of plasma grenades again because I was doing this with 2 players, but by myself. So, I thought of a method. What if I just don't collect any plasma grenades, and because I have the Bandanna skull on, I just beat whatever grenades come out of my teammate until I have the max amount. Now, with guidance from Spasmodic, I knew that the best way to set up these grenades was by getting them in a nice, neat pile. To do that, you have to have one player crouch in front of one of the wheels. If the other player then hits them in this black spot in their back, the grenades will then hit the tire and be in a nice pile. After getting the pile set up, all you need to do is drive your Warthog over the middle of the pile so that your passenger seat is about halfway in between that pile, and it's got to be right in the middle of the Warthog. After you do this, you then need to stand on the driver's seat. But now I finally had everything set up, and I was ready to try to launch all the way back up to the top. Now it took me 40 minutes to get this somewhat decent attempt for the first time. I was trying the Slinky method of launching. Slinky is what Spasmodic Gaming used to go by. His method involves standing in the driver's seat, jumping backwards and to the right, and then nudging your character just around the edge of the turret. If you jump backwards right before the grenade explodes, you can sometimes get hit by the Warthog. But with Slinky's method, it's a lot more consistent. After you're in midair, you need to flip the Warthog and sometimes pop, up you go. But I was finding the Slinky method to be pretty difficult. I didn't know if it was because my grenade pile was just too strong, or if my timing was off, and I'm pretty sure my timing was off. Now I tested this out later, but I found that walking on the top of the Warthog is much easier with a controller than a mouse and keyboard. On a mouse and keyboard, it's basically impossible, which in retrospect is why I wasn't able to pull this off with any sort of consistency. Luckily, even though I couldn't pull off this method, Spasmodic Gaming let me know that back in the day, trickers used to jump from the top of the crossbar backwards. Crossbar is the little strip of metal that separates the top two seats and the windshield to the back Warthog chassis. I did manage to pull off one somewhat close launch with Slinky's method, but now I have to revert to noob mode if I want to pull this off. At this point, I was already over 3 hours into this trick. It was really now or never. This is what I've never gotten. That was almost cool. Oh! Higher level unlocked. Oh! Does that count? I mean, I made it up here across the way. Oh! No! I can sense it. It's close. Oh, that was close. Hell yes. Now, let's see if I can land on the top platform. Boom! Let's go. Woo! Bottom to top. I know that was janky as hell. I couldn't really see anything, but this is the highest point that you can get. And wait, there's a room back there? What? The hell? Dude, that's sick. I never knew that. Look at this in anniversary graphics. This looks crazy. Dude, that's freaking sweet.